Chapter 509, Sparring with Qinghua. Chapter 509, Sparring with Qinghua. Elder Water, please, Wu Yuan said modestly. Elder Water nodded slightly and looked over at Jian Wushuang. A strange light flashed in his eyes. This light contained special magic which would cause a monster spy to show its true form. All the clansmen watched nervously. Once they confirmed that Jian Wushuang was a demonic beast, they would kill him without hesitation. Obviously, Jian Wushuang was not a demonic beast. He did not change even a bit before the strange light dissipated. Elder Water let out a sigh and turned to look at Wu Yuan and Qinghua. This boy is a real human warrior, not a monster spy. Qinghu and Wu Yu felt relieved. Father, I said Big Brother Wushuang is not a monster spy, Qinghu spoke. That's right, Wu Yu added. Wu Yuan looked over at Jian Wushuang and said apologetically, Little Brother Wushuang, I'm sorry for wronging you. Qinghua furrowed his eyebrows. It was out of his expectations, but after realizing he was wrong, he immediately apologized to the young man. Wushuang, my friend, I was too rash. Sorry, Qinghua said. Jian Wushuang glanced at Qinghua in surprise. He did not intend to blame this hero because his suspicion was reasonable. Actually, he had a good impression of this divine general. It was only with great virtue that someone would be able to correct themselves after doing something wrong. It was rare that a divine general could deign to apologize to a Saint Realm expert. Since it's only a misunderstanding, there's no need to apologize, Jian Wushuang said with a smile. Wu Yuan and Qinghua smiled at each other and the tense atmosphere eased. Little Brother Wushuang, why did you start practicing body reshaping technique just now? Wu Yuan wondered. Jian Wushuang was deep in thought and did not know how to respond. He could not tell Wu Yuan that he came from another plane world. Wu Yuan noticed the young man's embarrassment and said with a smile, Everyone has their own special circumstances and secrets. You don't have to tell us if you're reluctant. Jian Wushuang shrugged his shoulders with resignation. Wushuang, our leader said you had a powerful body and had forced a Cloud Realm spy to retreat even before you practiced the bone fusion technique, Qinghua said in a kind voice. Now that you've reached level 4 of the bone fusion technique, you must be even more powerful, right? I'm curious to see how strong your body is. If you don't mind, would you like to spar with me? Spar? Jian Wushuang was intrigued. He had just arrived at the monster continent. Though he knew that human warriors here were more powerful than warriors at the same level from the Divine Land, he was not clear on how powerful they were and what to expect if he had not had a fight with them, and it just so happened that he needed an opponent to test his own strength. As a 7-Cloud Realm expert and a divine general, Qinghua was an appropriate opponent for him. Since Master Qinghua is willing to teach me some moves, I'd like to, Jian Wushuang said. Haha, good. Now, let's fight just using our body's strength, Qinghua responded with a smile. After all, he had reached the 7-Cloud Realm. He did not want to fight Jian Wushuang by using his cultivation of spiritual power, because he thought it would be bullying if he did. Jian Wushuang and Qinghua reappeared up in the air, standing hundreds of feet apart. Master Qinghua, be careful. Jian Wushuang reminded him. Make your move, Qinghua said confidently, with his hands still behind his back. He had reached level 5 of the bone fusion technique, so he thought that he was stronger than Jian Wushuang. Jian Wushuang changed into a streak of flowing light and charged forward. Jian Wushuang quickly appeared in front of the divine general, then he clenched his hands and a mighty power gathered in his fist. He only used his body strength to launch this punch at his opponent. Rumble. The strike pierced through the air, humming violently. Qinghua also threw a pure punch which contained an overwhelming power, but he only exerted 70% of strength because he was worried he might hurt the young man. The two punches collided with each other as if two huge meteors had smashed into each other. Peng! Their terrifying power pressed against each other and let out an explosive sound. Whoosh! Qinghua shot back like a cannonball. He only regained his balance after retreating 1,000 feet. How is this possible? Qinghua looked over at the young man who had not been affected by his attack. He did not expect to be forced to retreat in that confrontation. I lost ground. Qinghua felt it was unbelievable. Normally, a Saint Realm expert like this young man would be unable to deflect his attack even though he had only used 70% of his strength. However, Jian Wushuang not only parried it, he also forced his opponent to retreat. Wushuang, you're stronger than I expected. It seems that I'm not your match if I only used 70% of my strength. This time I'll use my full strength, Qinghua said solemnly. You only used 70% of your strength. It's the same for me, Jian Wushuang said and grinned. What? Qinghua was shocked. It was the truth. Jian Wushuang only exerted 70% of his strength with that initial attack. As for the result, he was not surprised. Chapter 510 Admiration. Chapter 510 Admiration. As I expected, my body is stronger than Qinghua's after I reached level 4 of the bone fusion technique, Jian Wushuang thought. Although Qinghua had reached level 5 of the bone fusion technique, Jian Wushuang already had a heaven-defying body before it was strengthened by the bone fusion technique, so he was able to fight against 7 Cloud Realm experts from the Divine Land just by using body strength after he reached level 4. Qinghua was inferior to the young man in body strength. Next, I'll use 80% of my strength, Jian Wushuang said with a gush of killing intent in his eyes. He charged forward once again. Qinghua swung his huge fist with his full strength and punched at the young man. Peng. This time, they were both forced to retreat. Come on, Jian Wushuang said with a hint of excitement in his eyes. He dashed forward and attacked with 90% of his strength. Peng. As for the third confrontation, Qinghua retreated awkwardly. That meant Jian Wushuang had the upper hand. Master Qinghua, you are unable to defeat me with only your body strength. Use your full power. Jian Wushuang spoke confidently. Use my full power? Qinghua was intrigued and nodded. Okay, be careful. A 7-cloud realm aura suddenly swept out as a black long spear appeared in the divine general's hand. Jian Wushuang smiled faintly as an overwhelming aura flowed out and radiated from him. His triple kill sword also appeared in his hand. Shua. Shua. 2 streaks of light flashed across the sky as they battled again. Clang. 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 The fierce confrontation caused loud booms to reverberate through the entire drill ground as violent waves of power flowed outward. It shook the entire tribe. Countless clansmen walked out of their tents to watch this fight. Uncle Qinghua is fighting with the newcomer, Jian Wushuang. How is that possible? Jian Wushuang is just a Saint Realm expert. How is he qualified to fight Uncle Qinghua? He even seems to be holding the upper hand. Master Qinghua is losing ground. Those clansmen were dumbfounded when they saw that Qinghua was at a disadvantage even though he was using his full power. Big brother Wushuang is so powerful. My father is unable to beat him. Qing who grasped his long spear while staring at them. Wu Yu also widened her eyes and watched the fight. Hua. A brilliant streak of sword light rushed forward, carrying a decisive and unwavering intent. It was the second move of heart-killing sword technique, desperation. Qinghua instantly brandished his long spear and violently stabbed towards the incoming attack. Clang. The 2 strikes crashed, causing an immaterial wave to flow out. Qinghua was beaten back once again. Stop, stop, Qinghua said with a wry smile. He withdrew his long spear and stopped fighting. Jian Wushuang followed him and landed on the ground. Wushuang, you're very powerful. You have my admiration, Qinghua said, then sighed. Master Qinghua, I appreciate your kindness. Jian Wushuang responded modestly, but he was delighted in his heart. He gained a lot from this fight and also had a better understanding about the strength of warriors from Monster Continent as well as his own. Human warriors from the Monster Continent really were more powerful than warriors from the Divine Land. Qinghua was a 7-cloud realm expert, but his battle strength could be compared to Marquis Zizhong, who had reached the 8-cloud realm and had a Dao weapon. Although the long spear Qinghua used was just a first-grade magic weapon, his body was stronger than Marquis Zizhong, so Qinghua would be evenly matched with that Marquis. My body strength improved greatly after I reached level 4 of the bone fusion technique. I was able to gain ground just using my strength and swordsmanship, but there are more skills that I still haven't displayed. Jian Wushuang thought. Once he used the power of his sword soul, his strength would reach a new level, let alone his Azura secret skill, realm techniques, and the heart-killing sword. I don't need to fear battling with an 8-cloud realm divine general, even if it's a real fight, Jian Wushuang thought. Wushuang, can I talk with you alone? Qinghua spoke. Jian Wushuang nodded even though he did not know what Qinghua wanted to discuss. Sure. Please. Qinghua and Jian Wushuang walked toward the tent. After entering the tent, they both sat by a long narrow table. Qinghua waved his hand and took out some wine and fruits. Jian Wushuang poured himself a drink, then sniffed it and was about to drink. My little friend, if my guess is right, you don't belong to our monster continent, right? Qinghua asked casually. Jian Wushuang froze and looked over at the divine general in astonishment. Qinghua guessed his origin so easily. Hey. Qinghua smiled faintly. You have a powerful body, but you had not practiced a body reshaping technique before you came to our tribe, which is impossible for any human warrior from our continent. You're not a demonic beast, but you can't tell me about your circumstances. So I guessed that you must have come from outside of our continent. As a divine general, Qinghua had never been anywhere outside of the monster continent, but he had heard that there were other plane worlds out there. Chapter 511, 12 Levels of Bone Fusion. Chapter 511, 12 Levels of Bone Fusion. Only human experts from plane worlds outside of the monster continent would not have come into contact with a body reshaping technique until now, Qinghua said. Jian Wushuang was speechless at first, but he directly admitted, yes, I did come from somewhere outside of the monster continent. Just as I thought. Qinghua looked at Jian Wushuang with a smile and said, Wushuang, my friend, don't worry. Human warriors on the monster continent only hate demonic beasts. We won't refuse human experts from other plane worlds. They can even serve as divine generals and divine emperors in the Monster Exterminating League. All human experts are welcome in the Monster Exterminating League. Oh! Jian Wushuang was surprised and asked, are there experts from other plane worlds who are divine generals and divine emperors in the Monster Exterminating League? Yes. Qinghua said, those experts aim for the League's holy place. If they want to obtain benefits from the holy place, they have to make corresponding contributions to the League, which includes killing demonic beasts. That's why they serve as divine generals or divine emperors. Oh! Jian Wushuang secretly nodded. Wushuang, aren't you also aiming for the holy place? Qinghua asked in doubts. I came here by accident. But, now I'm quite interested in the League's holy place, Jian Wushuang replied with a smile. The holy place is open to all human experts. But you have to become a divine general of the League first. Qinghua looked at Jian Wushuang with a smile and said, even though you're only in the Saint Realm, you're stronger than me and definitely qualified to become a divine general. May I ask what the requirements are? Jian Wushuang asked. It's very simple. As long as you are strong enough to pass the assessment, it won't be a problem for you, Qinghua laughed. I'll be staying in the tribe for a month. If you're not in a hurry, you can wait and go with me when I leave. How about it? Thank you, Mr. Qinghua, Jian Wushuang said. He had only just arrived on the monster continent recently and had very little knowledge regarding anything here. It would be better if he could obtain some information from Qinghua. By the way, Qinghua said, I saw how easily you cultivated the 4th level of the bone fusion technique. I guess it won't be difficult for you to cultivate the 5th or 6th level. I brought them back with me this time. Do you want to read them? Qinghua took out 2 jade slips. They had the 5th and 6th level of the bone fusion technique recorded on them. Seeing the jade slips, a happy expression appeared on Jian Wushuang's face. After having contact with the bone fusion technique, Jian Wushuang was extremely eager to continue practicing it. It had an immeasurable effect on his physical strength. With just the initial 4 levels, his strength had already soared to a level several times higher, and his strong body made him qualified to cultivate higher levels of the bone fusion technique. He definitely yearned for the 5th and 6th levels of the bone fusion technique. Thank you so much, Mr. Qinghua, Jian Wushuang said gratefully. Since we're both human beings, there is no need to be so polite, Qinghua said and smiled. By the way, Don't call me Mr. Qing Hua. You're even stronger than me, so just call me Qing Hua. Jian Wushuang responded with a smile. He had discovered that Qing Hua and Wu Yuan, as well as all the clansmen in the Wu Yang tribe, hated the demonic beasts, but they were very friendly and enthusiastic to other human beings and treated them like brothers. Qing Hua, do you know who created the bone fusion technique and how many levels there are? Jian Wushuang asked. I don't know who created it. No one seems to know. I only know that it has been spread throughout the monster continent since long ago. More than 90% of the human warriors on the continent cultivate it to improve their physical strength. As for its levels, as far as I know, the bone fusion technique is divided into 3 volumes and each volume contains 4 levels, so there are 12 levels altogether, Qing Hua said. 12 levels? Jian Wushuang was shocked. The initial 4 levels of the bone fusion technique had already benefited him greatly, but there were a total of 12 levels. How strong of a body would he attain after cultivating all 12 levels? However, it's impossible to cultivate all 12 levels. Or, at least, no human on the monster continent has ever succeeded. Even the strongest person has only cultivated the 11th level and is regarded as the top human warrior. Only a few human warriors have cultivated the 10th level in the history of monster continent, Qing Hua said. Jian Wushuang was not surprised to hear it. The more powerful the technique was, the more difficult it was to cultivate. The bone fusion technique was definitely an incredible one and had high requirements on the body's foundation. It was naturally difficult to cultivate all 12 levels. I have another technique which should also be useful to you, Qing Hua said while taking out another jade slip. This is. Jian Wushuang was puzzled. This is a technique dedicated to concealing one's aura, Qing Hua explained. Aura concealing technique. Jian Wushuang's face changed slightly as he quickly understood. I obtained this technique by chance. It can completely conceal a warrior's spiritual power aura. No one will know your strength unless he's much stronger than you. Qing Hua said, after all, you're only at the Saint Realm. It'll be too noticeable if you participate in the divine general assessment like this. With this technique, no one will know your realm. Oh! Jian Wushuang slightly nodded. Divine generals in the Monster Exterminating League were usually Cloud Realm experts. It would indeed be noticeable if he became a divine general as a Saint Realm expert. Thank you so much, Jian Wushuang expressed his gratitude again. You have a month to prepare. After that, we'll set off, Qing Hua said and then laughed. Jian Wushuang nodded, then he shared several drinks with Qing Hua while asking him questions about the monster continent. He stayed there until dusk. Chapter 512 Heaven Wing City. Chapter 512 Heaven Wing City. That night, the bright moonlight spread like water, slightly illuminating the ground. Jian Wushuang sat cross-legged on the ground with his bare upper body. He slightly closed his eyes and felt the strange energy flowing through his body. His dark and strong muscles were also slowly wriggling. Suddenly, a burst of sound emanated from his body as his skin immediately became covered with sweat and a wild aura suddenly radiated from him. Jian Wushuang opened his eyes. Bone fusion technique, the 6th level, I've succeeded. At this moment, Jian Wushuang's eyes sparkled with surprise and joy. He had easily succeeded in cultivating the 4th level of the bone fusion technique, and his cultivation for the 5th and 6th level was not difficult either. His physical strength soared every time he cultivated a new level. After cultivating the 6th level, his physical strength had been enhanced to a new level once again. My current physical strength has at least doubled compared to when I battled with Qing Hua, Jian Wushuang thought. It was already very amazing. He had been able to fight a 7-Cloud Realm expert by virtue of his physical strength. Since he had improved his physical strength 2 more levels now, his power would be even more incredible. This is only the 6th level. What if I cultivated all 12 levels of the bone fusion technique? Jian Wushuang wondered. He was full of curiosity towards the creator of the bone fusion technique. How amazing was this expert who created such an amazing body reshaping technique? No matter who he was definitely a supreme expert, he thought. The higher levels of the technique were only available to those who joined the Monster Exterminating League. Therefore, whether the holy place existed or not, Jian Wushuang still had to become a divine general in the League so he would have access to the higher levels of the bone fusion technique. A month, Jian Wushuang murmured. A month was not a short amount of time for him. He would not waste it. He stayed in the Wu Yang tribe to meditate quietly on the slaughter occult from the restriction in the 6-story pagoda. Meanwhile, he used the world scroll to meditate on the world origin. His original body and doppelganger were working on comprehending the two different origins simultaneously, yet independently. In this way, he would yield twice the results. The aura concealing technique, aura restraint, was indeed delicate. It took him several days to comprehend it and learn to completely restrain his Saint Realm aura. Now that he had concealed his aura, other experts could not see through his strength, unless they were supreme experts, like the 3 ancestors, who were far beyond him. However, those kind of experts were too rare. A month passed in the blink of an eye. He had improved his comprehension of the slaughter origin during this period, but he was still a step away from condensing the 8th origin mark. On the other side, he had made great progress in comprehending the world origin and had condensed the 6th origin mark. He was quite satisfied with his performance. The only thing that he was unsatisfied with was his level of cultivation. Even though he had been at the Saint Realm, Venerable Master, for a long time, he still could not feel any signs of a breakthrough. It might be a long time before he entered the Cloud Realm. In the early morning, a large number of clansmen gathered on the drill ground of the Wu Yang tribe. They came to see Qing Hua and Jian Wushuang off. Father, Qing, who stood next to Qing Hua, reluctant to see him leave. Big brother Wushuang, kill a lot of demonic beasts, Wu Yu said to Jian Wushuang. Uncle Qing Hua, remember to kill even more demonic beast. It would be best if you could kill all those damn demonic beasts. Brother Wushuang, take care of yourself and Uncle Qing Hua. While being accompanied by the clansmen, Jian Wushuang and Qing Hua arrived at the entrance gate of the tribe. He was touched by their warmth and enthusiasm. Wushuang, let's go, Qing Hua said. Okay. Jian Wushuang nodded, then they left the tribe. Several days later, they arrived before a giant city. A city. Jian Wushuang looked at it. On the journey, he had passed by large and small tribes, but he had yet to see any cities on the monster continent. This city was much larger than any city he knew of in the Divine Land. This is Heaven Wing City, one of the 8 cities of the human population on Monster Continent. Qing Hua looked at Jian Wushuang and explained, the human population has 8 cities like this one. The tribes come here to exchange goods, and each city has a saint castle. If you want to be a divine general, you must go there for the assessment. Oh. Jian Wushuang slightly nodded. The Monster Exterminating League has set a rule. Flying is forbidden in the holy place and the 8 cities, as is fighting. We have to queue up to enter the city, Qing Hua said. They went to the front gate where a large number of human warriors from various tribes were queued up. Jian Wushuang and Qing Hua also stood in the long queue. Flying is forbidden as well as fighting? Jian Wushuang asked in surprise. No one dares to violate the rules set by the League. Of course, if you have the opportunity to become a divine emperor in the future, you don't have to follow these rules. Experts, like divine emperors, have certain privileges, said Qing Hua. Divine emperor? Jian Wushuang was intrigued by these words. He had heard about the divine emperors from Qing Hua before. In the Monster Exterminating League, where all high-level human warriors of the monster continent gathered, divine generals were the most common and were generally 7-Cloud Realm experts. There were numerous 7-Cloud Realm experts on the monster continent. Therefore, there were countless divine generals in the Monster Exterminating League. Above the divine generals were divine emperors. According to Qing Hua's description, divine emperors had entered the Tao. If they were in the Divine Land, they would be as strong as the 9 sovereigns, or maybe even stronger. However, there were 108 divine emperors in the Monster Exterminating League. In addition, there were many other experts who were qualified to be divine emperors in the League. Compared with the Monster Exterminating League, the Divine Land, where Jian Wushuang had just come from, was indeed much weaker. Chapter 513, Saint Castle. Chapter 513, Saint Castle. Inside Heaven Wing City. Jian Wushuang walked with Qinghua on the wide street while looking around at the huge buildings. They were ancient and splendid, as delicate as sculptures. The streets were crowded with people. What a busy city, Jian Wushuang said. Even though humans only occupy less than 10% of the territory on the monster continent, it's still very vast, and the number of tribes and warriors is quite astonishing. All the tribes come to the 8 cities to exchange goods. As one of those cities, Heaven Wing City is naturally lively, Qinghua said. Jian Wushuang nodded in agreement. Before long, he noticed an ancient purple castle, which was about 100 meters tall, at the end of the street. It was so humongous that it was extremely eye-catching among buildings in Heaven Wing City. That's Saint Castle, also known as Monster Exterminating Castle. If you want to be a divine general, you have to accept the assessment there, Qinghua said. Let's go, Jian Wushuang said. He headed towards Saint Castle with Qinghua and they quickly arrived at the entrance. After climbing the stairs, they stepped into the hall. So quiet, Jian Wushuang whispered. The hall was very empty. The dozens of people in this empty hall made it more sparse. It was completely the opposite of the busy streets. People here are either divine generals or applicants trying to become a divine general. Of course, it wouldn't be crowded here, Qinghua said. Jian Wushuang nodded and noticed the application counter. A blue-haired beauty sat behind the counter, in front of a shelf that was filled with bottles of wine. Shadow, give me a bottle of lion liver wine, Qinghua came to the counter and said directly. She raised her head and then gave him a bottle of wine, then she said, 10,000 raw gems. We're old friends. Why do you still charge me so much? Qinghua muttered but still took out the raw gems. Qinghua, who is he? The blue-haired beauty looked toward Jian Wushuang and asked. He's a little brother from my tribe. He came here to participate in the Divine General Assessment, Qinghua said. Shadow, please help him register. The Divine General Assessment. The blue-haired beauty nodded and asked, what's your name? Which tribe are you from? Jian Wushuang from the Wu Yang tribe, Jian Wushuang answered. The blue-haired beauty recorded his name on a list and said, you're lucky. There is a Divine General Assessment about to take place right now. Wait a moment, I'll make the arrangement for you immediately. Thank you, Jian Wushuang said. You're fortunate. The Divine General Assessment is held every 10 days. You came at the right time, Qinghua said and laughed. The blue-haired beauty immediately left to make the arrangements. A moment later, she returned with a white-haired elder. The white-haired elder looked at Jian Wushuang without saying anything, but a strange light flashed in his eyes. Jian Wushuang had seen this strange light before. He knew that it was the monster discriminator's special method. Wushuang, all the applicants for Divine General Assessment are tested. It's to prevent monster spies from sneaking into the team. Don't worry, Qinghua explained. I understand, Jian Wushuang said and nodded. The strange light in the white-haired elder's eyes lasted for a while. As Jian Wushuang had no reaction at all, it gradually dissipated. Come with me, said the white-haired elder, then he went straight to the inner layer of the castle. Go. I'll wait for you outside, Qinghua said. Jian Wushuang followed the white-haired elder without hesitation. It didn't take long for him to arrive at an open space in the inner layer, where lots of people were waiting. These men and women were all warriors, and they all possessed a powerful aura. When Jian Wushuang arrived, they only cast a casual glance at him and then looked away. They all came here to accept the assessment, Jian Wushuang muttered. There were over 30 warriors. Among them, several warriors had an extremely strong aura. In particular, a red-haired young man that was standing on the edge of the open space attracted his attention. This young man carried a saber on his back and stood there with his devilish eyes slightly closed. The arrogant expression on his face showed that he was not paying attention to anyone present. He should be at the 8-Cloud Realm? Jian Wushuang thought in surprise. A 7-Cloud Realm human warrior with a strong body was enough to be a divine general. An 8-Cloud Realm warrior would be regarded as excellent among the divine generals. Therefore, it was common for the 7-Cloud Realm warriors to participate in the assessment, but it was rare for 8-Cloud Realm warriors. Just then, a purple-robed middle-aged man, flanked by a couple of people, walked toward them. He held a list in his hand which recorded these applicants' information. After standing in front of them, he looked around. Listen well. The assessment is very simple. Walk along this tunnel until you reach the huge gladiator arena in the innermost part of the castle. Once you step into it, your opponent will naturally appear in front of you. What you need to do is to use your full strength against him. Whether you pass the assessment or not depends on your performance in the gladiator arena. That is to say, the better you perform in the gladiator arena, the more likely you are to become a divine general. The purple-robed man stopped and watched their reactions. His words caused a stir among the applicants, but they quickly quieted down and accepted it calmly. By the way, Emperor Fengxiao, one of the 108 divine emperors in the Monster Exterminating League, happens to be in the castle. He'll be watching your battles at the gladiator arena. It's a good opportunity for you, the purple-robed man said. Emperor Fengxiao? The famous Emperor Fengxiao from the Monster Exterminating League. He's in the castle and will watch our assessment. Oh, if Emperor Fengxiao appreciates my performance and chooses me as a disciple, then I would be very lucky. Everyone became excited. Even the arrogant red-haired young man on the edge of the open space changed his expression. Chapter 514, The Assessment. Chapter 514, The Assessment. I heard from my father that Emperor Fengxiao has a high rank among the 108 divine emperors. He's at the peak and he's even stronger than my father. It's definitely a great opportunity. I might become the disciple of such a powerful divine emperor. Thinking of this, the red-haired young man clenched his fists tightly as a flash of burning desire appeared in his eyes. Among all the experts, only Jian Wushuang remained calm. Since he had just arrived on the monster continent, he had never heard of Emperor Fengxiao. However, since the latter was one of the 108 divine emperors, he must have entered the Dao and would definitely overpower Jian Wushuang. Anyway, I'll call your names one by one according to the application order, the purple-robed man said as he took out the list. The first one, He Kang. He Kang immediately stepped forward and entered the tunnel on the side, then headed directly towards the gladiator arena. The rest waited quietly in the open space. After a while, they heard loud roaring sounds from the gladiator arena. The extremely fierce sounds indicated that He Kang was in a tough battle. It didn't take long for He Kang to return along the tunnel and reappear in front of them. He was wounded and his furrowed eyebrows revealed an obvious trace of sorrow. He was apparently worried about whether he would pass the assessment. The result would not be announced until everyone finished the assessment, so he had to wait quietly. Next, the purple-robed middle-aged man called the second expert's name. The experts stepped into the gladiator arena one after another after traveling to the end of the tunnel. It wasn't long until the name of the red-haired young man who stood on the edge of the open space was called. Jin Ling, the middle-aged man called out. The red-haired young man walked to the gladiator arena. He created a larger disturbance in the gladiator arena, and also stayed in there longer. After a quarter of an hour or so, he returned to the open space. With the arrogant expression still on his face, he looked around at the crowd with a hint of disdain. He must be extremely confident of his strength, Jian Wushuang muttered. Several more experts entered gladiator arena before Jian Wushuang's name was finally called. The last one, Jian Wushuang, the purple-robed middle-aged man said. Jian Wushuang immediately walked towards the gladiator arena at the end of the tunnel. A moment later, he finally arrived at the gladiator arena. The huge gladiator arena was encircled by a restriction, with rows of stands around it, but no one seemed to be watching. I wonder who my opponent is, Jian Wushuang thought. Suddenly, 3 giant beasts slowly walked out from 3 tunnels near the edge of the gladiator arena. They are demonic beasts. Jian Wushuang observed the 3 giant beasts in surprise. They were all 3-meter-tall demonic apes with 4 arms. No. They have no vitality. Are they puppet fighters? Demonic beast puppet fighters? Jian Wushuang was stunned. In the Divine Land, he had seen a lot of puppet fighters, but they were human-like. He had never seen demonic beast puppet fighters before. My opponents are these 3 demonic beast puppet fighters? Jian Wushuang thought with a serious expression on his face. The 3 demonic beast puppet fighters encircled Jian Wushuang in a triangle shape and then directly began to attack him. Howl! They roared simultaneously and then trod the ground heavily, causing the ground to tremble violently. Fortunately, the ground was paved with extremely hard stone slates, which were not easily cracked. Hoo! 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 3 strong wind-breaking sound came from each side. The 12 fists of the 3 puppet fighters were tightly clenched and punched Jian Wushuang like landslides and tsunami. Jian Wushuang felt like he was surrounded by fists in all directions. He immediately moved, leaving behind a residual shadow as he bounced towards the puppet fighters in a flexible manner. He then punched one of the puppet fighters with his tightly clenched right fist. He used the full extent of his physical strength, striking the puppet fighter with a fierce blow that seemed almost like a meteorite. Bang! The puppet fighter was immediately knocked back, slamming into the stone wall at the edge of the gladiator arena and causing a violent impact. Get out! Jian Wushuang then punched the other 2 puppet fighters and knocked them backwards without effort as well. In a blink of an eye, he had defeated the 3 demonic beast puppet fighters. They're not very strong, Jian Wushuang thought. He could tell that the 3 puppet fighters were equal to superior lords with a stronger body. They were comparable to Wu Yuan, the leader of the Wu Yang tribe. It should not be difficult for any 7-cloud realm human warrior to defeat them. The assessment shouldn't be so simple, he thought. As he expected, after the 3 defeated puppet fighters left the gladiator arena, a brand new puppet fighter immediately stood in front of him. It was over 2 meters high, but it was shorter than the demonic ape puppet fighters and much stronger. It had a lion head, greenish-black scales that covered its body, and a 3-meter-long tail, which was also covered with scales. Is this the original look of the demonic beast? Jian Wushuang looked at it with a curious expression. He had only seen spirit beasts in the divine land, which were totally different from the demonic beasts in the monster continent. The demonic beasts carried some human characteristics to a certain extent. The demonic lion puppet fighter also began to attack. It was much stronger than the 3 puppet fighter, and its speed was quite astonishing. Jian Wushuang only caught a flash of a greenish-black spectral image. The next moment, he heard a harsh explosion in front of him as the puppet fighter split the air, slashing towards him with its sharp claws while opening its big mouth. Howl! A roar, accompanied by a strong sound wave, stormed toward Jian Wushuang. Chapter 515 Emperor Fengxiao. Chapter 515 Emperor Fengxiao. A sound wave attack. Jian Wushuang sneered. It was not the first time he had encountered a sound wave attack. He had already made preparations against this type of technique, not to mention that he was physically stronger than he used to be by far. The sound wave attack of the demonic lion puppet fighter had little effect on him. He clenched his right fist and launched a punch. His violent physical power exploded like a volcano waking up after being dormant for a long time. Bang! He had an absolute advantage in brute force, so the demonic lion puppet fighter was forced to retreat. However, its long greenish-black tail appeared near Jian Wushuang's side, catching him off guard. The tail swept directly toward his head like a sharp saber. What a move! A bit of surprise flashed in Jian Wushuang's eyes. He waved his arm casually and parried the tail. Kai, kai, kai. The metallic sound of several collisions reverberated through the area again and again. The puppet fighter's tail was knocked away, only leaving behind some white marks on his arm. Well, a sigh of surprise came from outside of the gladiator arena. In one row of stands at the top of the gladiator arena, sat a handsome long-haired man in a green robe. Until just now, he had been completely indifferent while watching the other applicants fight with the demonic beast puppet fighters. But, just now, when he saw how Jian Wushuang struck the puppet fighter's tail away, he was a little surprised. What a strong body! He has only cultivated up to the 6th level of the bone fusion technique, but his body is stronger than those who have cultivated the 7th or even the 8th level. The long-hair man nodded and glanced at the red-robed woman standing next to him and asked, "Who is he?" "Your Highness, his Jian Wushuang from the Wu Yang tribe, the red-robed woman replied respectfully. After all, this man was Emperor Fengxiao, who possessed great power within the Monster Exterminating League and stood at the peak among the humans on the monster continent. Emperor Fengxiao ranked second among the 108 divine emperors. Among the human population, he was estimated to only be weaker than the 33 superior temple masters from the Monster Exterminating League. Jian Wushuang? Emperor Fengxiao nodded slightly, remembering the name. Jian Wushuang can defeat the demonic lion puppet fighter easily by virtue of his strong body. It's quite likely that he'll also pass the third round, Emperor Fengxiao said. If he can pass the third round, he'll be a second-grade divine general. So far, only Jin Ling has passed the third round among these applicants, the red-robed woman said carefully. Jin Ling. He's different, Emperor Fengxiao shook his head. I know Jin Ling. He always stays with his father, and his father has helped him a lot with his cultivation and even improved his physical strength using lots of treasures. It's normal for him to pass the third round. Jian Wushuang comes from an ordinary tribe. Since he can make it this far without any background, he is much stronger than Jin Ling. After he becomes a divine general and cultivates for a period of time in the holy place, he'll make greater progress. Maybe our side will have another divine emperor several years from now. Divine Emperor? The woman glanced at Jian Wushuang in surprise. She had not expected that Emperor Fengxiao would give Jian Wushuang such a high evaluation. Just look, Emperor Fengxiao stopped talking and continued to watch. As Emperor Fengxiao expected, Jian Wushuang did not exert himself to defeat the demonic lion puppet fighter in the second round. He easily defeated it without drawing his sword. The puppet fighter of the third round appeared immediately. It was comparable to an 8-Cloud Realm expert and even stronger than Marquis Zizhong, who Jian Wushuang had fought in the Divine Land. Nevertheless, Jian Wushuang was also stronger than he used to be after cultivating the bone fusion technique and improving his physical strength to a great extent. In front of this puppet fighter, Jian Wushuang finally drew his sword and used his spiritual power to defeat it. The demonic beast puppet fighter of the fourth round showed up. It looked exactly the same as the demonic apes in the first round. It even had 4 arms, but it was much stronger. Few second-grade divine generals can compete with the demonic ape puppet fighter in the fourth round. I wonder how long he can hold out. Emperor Fengxiao watched the fight attentively. Jian Wushuang began to attack the demonic ape puppet fighter. Whoosh! The triple kill sword carried a decisive and unwavering intent as he attacked with the second move of the heart-killing sword technique. A sword shadow burst out, like sharp bolt of lightning, roaring as it stabbed forward. The puppet fighter waved its 4 arms violently and clenched a fist, releasing a punch towards Jian Wushuang's triple kill sword. Bang! The triple kill sword was deflected to the side as the puppet fighter directly strode forward and violently punched at Jian Wushuang with its other 3 arms. Jian Wushuang retreated in a hurry and swung his sword to parry the incoming attacks. However, he still suffered a blow on his chest from the puppet fighter's fist. Jian Wushuang groaned painfully and tried to calm down his turbulent aura. How powerful! It's even stronger than me. A hint of excitement flashed in Jian Wushuang's eyes. It seems that I will have to use some of my trump cards. Bang! 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 The puppet fighter trod forward heavily and then pounced on him. He immediately retreated while simultaneously waving his hand. Hum! A giant tumbling blood river rushed out, accompanied by surging waves of invisible sword essence that spread out around Jian Wushuang. He had superimposed road to the underworld and the hundredfold realm. As for the Bloodfire domain in the Bloodfire ring, it was too weak to be of use to Jian Wushuang now. Due to the oppression of the domain, the puppet fighter's speed and strength were greatly restrained. Jian Wushuang stopped retreating and raised his triple kill sword, which gave off a dazzling light at this moment. Chapter 516, Second Grade Divine General. Chapter 516, Second Grade Divine General. He brandished his sword. A poignant sword stroke emerged. Beautiful and enchanting, it was the third move of heart-killing sword technique, enchant. The sword light even enthralled Emperor Fengxiao and the red-robed woman who were outside the gladiator arena. That move, A hint of surprise flashed in Emperor Fengxiao's eyes. It was a poignant sword move, intoxicating, powerful and occult. Seeing this, Emperor Fengxiao was stunned, feeling like he had been struck by an electric shock. He was good at sword principle and believed that few in the monster continent could be his rivals. But the sword move Jian Wushuang unleashed just now had touched him. Yes, it touched him. Emperor Fengxiao closed his eyes and replayed the move in his mind. A sword move which he hadn't understood for years suddenly became clear. All of a sudden. That's it. I have been walking on the wrong path. Emperor Fengxiao murmured, then opened his surprised eyes. He mastered such a unique sword skill. Emperor Fengxiao looked at Jian Wushuang. He didn't know that heart-killing sword technique was created by Sword Ancestor, which was also Sword Ancestor's best sword skill. Though he was strong in sword principle, he was much weaker compared with Sword Ancestor. Therefore, it was normal that Sword Ancestor's best sword skill would touch him. I should thank him. Emperor Fengxiao took an earnest look at Jian Wushuang. At this moment, Jian Wushuang had defeated the demonic ape puppet fighter with realm suppression and the third move of heart-killing sword technique. The fourth level, passed. He should be able to pass it. The red-robed woman opened her eyes wide with a shocked face. She didn't study sword principle and had no idea how special the move was. What shocked her was that Jian Wushuang had passed the fourth level. It should be known that those who passed the fourth level were at the peak even among second-grade divine generals. Top second-grade divine generals were ranked only second to the divine emperor. In the gladiator arena, the demonic beast puppet fighter of the fifth level appeared. When Jian Wushuang fought with the demonic beast puppet fighter, he found that it was stronger by at least 2 levels than the demonic ape puppet fighter, whether in speed or in power. The demonic beast puppet fighter of the fifth level is much stronger. I may not be able to defeat it even using Sword Soul and trying my best. Jian Wushuang thought. To pass the fourth level is enough. There is no need to pass more. Having decided, he retreated to the perimeter of the gladiator arena, looked up at the stands out of the restriction, back to where he entered and walked out of the gladiator arena. He didn't plan to use all his trump cards here. But the strength he had shown was shocking enough. Red butterfly. In the stand, Emperor Fengxiao took a glance at the red-robed woman behind him. Divine Emperor. The red-robed woman said respectfully. Take this to him. Emperor Fengxiao gave the red-robed woman a jade slip. Taking it, the red-robed woman was confused. But after she recognized what it was, she was in great shock. Divine Emperor, this is, the red-robed woman's voice was trembling. She knew the value of the jade slip. It was a jade slip that lots of divine generals were eager to own. And it was also important for Emperor Fengxiao himself. How could Emperor Fengxiao give this as a present to Jian Wushuang? Just do as you are told. Emperor Fengxiao said. Yes. Dan Ju took a deep breath and nodded heavily. Then she left. In the stand sat Emperor Fengxiao with the corners of his mouth curled up. After mastering that sword movement, my strength has improved to a new level. The jade slip was nothing compared with what I received because of him. Emperor Fengxiao murmured, the jade slip is useful to Jian Wushuang. It can be my gift to thank him. Hihi, the journey has not been made in vain. Emperor Fengxiao stood up and stretched. After a quick move, he had disappeared from the stand. In the open space, all the experts participating in the assessment gathered and waited. When Jian Wushuang appeared in the open space, those experts looked towards him. Why did he take such a long time? Their eyes were full of curiosity. They had all fought with the demonic beasts puppet fighters in the gladiator arena. Some took a while and some were brief. But Jian Wushuang took the longest time, even longer than Jin Ling's. A moment later, the red-robed woman arrived at the open space. Now, I will announce the results. The red-robed woman took out a list and started to read. The first one, He Kang, pass, first-grade divine general. The second one, Luo Yi, pass, first-grade divine general. The third one, first-grade divine general. The fourth one, fail. The red-robed woman read everyone's name. More than 30 experts participated in the test. Almost all of them had reached Seven Cloud Realm, so most of them would pass it. Only one or two failed. Jin Ling, pass, second grade Divine General, the red-robed woman said. All people present looked towards the red-haired man, Jin Ling, but didn't feel surprised. Because it was only he that reached 8 Cloud Realm and he should be a second-grade Divine General. Jin Ling himself also thought he deserved it. The next one, continued the red-robed woman. Finally, the red-robed woman read the last one's name, Jian Wushuang. The last one, Jian Wushuang, pass, second-grade Divine General. The red-robed woman looked at Jian Wushuang after reading. All experts present looked towards Jian Wushuang, including Jin Ling. It was normal that Jin Ling became a second-grade Divine General, because he was at 8 Cloud Realm. But Jian Wushuang. Chapter 517, A Gift from Emperor Fengxiao. Chapter 517, A Gift from Emperor Fengxiao. There is another second-grade Divine General apart from me? Jin Ling glanced at Jian Wushuang. He said with a sneer, this must be because he just met the requirements by squeaking through the 3rd level. He was proud as a peacock. Although Jian Wushuang was appointed a second-grade Divine General like him, Jin Ling still thought Jian Wushuang was weaker than him. After all, there were differences in strength though both were second-grade Divine Generals. But at the moment, the red-robed woman looked at Jian Wushuang and continued, Jian Wushuang, you performed well in the gladiator arena. Emperor Fengxiao praised you and decided to give you a present. After this announcement, she threw the jade slip from Emperor Fengxiao to Jian Wushuang. Catching the jade slip and holding it, Jian Wushuang was a little surprised. Emperor Fengxiao gave me a gift. Looking at the golden jade slip in his hand, he didn't find anything special except for its aura and the number 10 on it. The open space was in an uproar. Many experts present threw admiring glances at Jian Wushuang. Did Emperor Fengxiao praise Jian Wushuang and give him a gift? Usually, divine emperors of the Monster Exterminating League never praise an ordinary warrior. To receive a present is a rare honor. It means that Emperor Fengxiao thinks highly of him. If he keeps improving, it's highly possible that he can study under Emperor Fengxiao. People in the open space were freely discussing. No one noticed that at the perimeter of the open space, the red-haired young man, Jin Ling, was staring at the jade slip in Jian Wushuang's hand in shock. That's a pledge of the Earth Core Palace, a golden one. How could this be? Such a precious treasure is hard to obtain even if it were my father. How could Emperor Fengxiao give it to him? Others didn't know the jade slip's value, but Jin Ling did. That was why he was shocked. The jade slip is so valuable. But it seems that this young man is not aware of this. After looking at Jian Wushuang, Jin Ling narrowed his eyes and felt envious. Bastard. If he were not here, Emperor Fengxiao might give it to me. It's his fault. Hatred arose in Jin Ling but was carefully concealed. No one even noticed it. All right, those who failed can leave now. Those who passed come to me and take your ID tokens, said the red-robed woman. Those who passed, including Jian Wushuang, went forward. A Divine General token had a special aura. Those around could perceive it after the token was refined. Thus they would know the identity of the token's master. Jian Wushuang received a second-grade Divine General token from the red-robed woman and made himself its master. All of you can leave now, the red-robed woman said and waved her hand. They all went to the hall of the Saint Castle. In the hall, Qinghua was waiting for him at the counter, holding a pot of wine and talking with the blue-haired beauty. Qinghua. Jian Wushuang went to him. Fellow Wushuang, how did you go? Qinghua looked at Jian Wushuang and asked, did you pass it? Yes. I'm a second-grade Divine General now. Jian Wushuang said with a smile. A second-grade Divine General? Usually only an 8 Cloud Realm expert would qualify, marveled Qinghua. Then he laughed and said, I knew you could pass the assessment. To be a Divine General means that you have been admitted into the holy place. Wushuang, do you want to go to the holy place? The holy place? Jian Wushuang was intrigued. It was not the first time he heard about the holy place. The holy place of Monster Exterminating League, was a cultivation sanctuary for humans on the monster continent. It contained many opportunities. Many divine generals, even divine emperors of Monster Exterminating League, cultivated in the holy place, which was also open to them. Of course, but not now. Having been in the monster continent for so long, it's my first time visiting the city. I want to have a look first. Jian Wushuang said. Okay, I'll go with you. Qinghua laughed. Then they walked outside of the Saint Castle. Both of them didn't notice that a red-haired man in a corner was gazing at Jian Wushuang carefully. After observing Jian Wushuang leaving the Saint Castle, Jinling pondered, then followed them. Heaven Wing City was bustling with many shops. A moment later, Jian Wushuang and Qinghua arrived at a big black pavilion. It's Heaven Wing Pavilion, the biggest market in Heaven Wing City for buying and selling. The purchasing price is 90% of the selling price. Selling to them might incur a little loss, but it is convenient. Qinghua said. Let's enter and have a look. Jian Wushuang stepped into the Heaven Wing Pavilion. Heaven Wing Pavilion was 3 stories and there were many treasures in each story. Entering the hall of the first floor, Jian Wushuang saw many treasures, but they were all common. Jian Wushuang was uninterested in them, but many warriors of the tribes were perusing the treasures. 2 lords, most of the treasures in the first floor are common grade. It's better for you to go to the 3rd floor if you want to buy something. An attendant walked to them and said. Jian Wushuang and Qinghua looked at each other. Both of them had refined divine general tokens, and that special aura was easy to be perceived. Therefore, others could recognize them immediately. They didn't delay in the 1st floor anymore and walked up the stairs to the hall of the 3rd floor of Heaven Wing Pavilion. The number of treasures on the 3rd floor was less than on the 1st floor, but more valuable. Chapter 518, Blood Kylin Leather Armor. Chapter 518, Blood Kylin Leather Armor. Jian Wushuang wandered around the 3rd floor. Many treasures were present, but Jian Wushuang realized that nearly half of them were used to strengthen the body. Jian Wushuang even saw Purple Heaven Thunderbolt and 9th Heaven Thunderbolt. 2 valuable body-enhancing thunderbolts. Many of these treasures were new and unknown to Jian Wushuang. Luckily, there was a brief introduction for each item on the shelf. Suddenly, he was attracted by one. Blood Kylin Leather Armor. Jian Wushuang was reading the description on the shelf. Blood Kylin Leather Armor, refined from hides of Blood Kylin Demonic Beast of rank 8 and Corundum, has an amazing defense which reduces impact forces. Its price is 8 million raw gems. Jian Wushuang was interested. He had seen defensive armors, but none of them were convenient to wear. Besides, this had an amazing defense. Hides of Blood Kylin Demonic Beast at rank 8 and Corundum? Qinghua was shocked when he read that. Rank 8 was equal to 8th Cloud Realm. Rank 8 monsters were peak monsters and only rank 9 monsters or monster kings rarer. Blood Kylin Demonic Beast was a terrifying species among rank 8 monsters. They were good at defense. Their hard hides were so tough that only divine emperors could destroy them. And Corundum was the hardest, or Qinghua knew. An armor made of hides of Blood Kylin Demonic Beast of rank 8 and Corundum, how could it not be strong in defense? My strong body plus the Blood Kylin leather armor would surely improve my defense capability by a lot. Jian Wushuang squinted and thought. The Blood Kylin leather armor was useful to him in strengthening his life-saving skill. 8 million raw gems, Jian Wushuang murmured. Just like in the Divine Land, people on the monster continent traded with raw gems. But an ordinary first-grade divine general on the monster continent could only have 2 million raw gems, far less than what a marquis in the Divine Land had. In the Divine Land, there were only a few marquis experts. Each one was a top expert with a huge territory, surely they had more gems. Even the weakest marquis in the Divine Land had more than 10 million raw gems. Jian Wushuang killed Marquis Nanyu and took his interspatial ring. So he was able to afford this. Fellow Wushuang, are you interested in the Blood Kylin leather armor? Qinghua looked towards him. Yes, Jian Wushuang nodded. Keep its name in mind and pay for it at the counter downstairs. Qinghua said. They looked around some more, then went downstairs after not finding anything else they wanted. At the counter of the hall on the first floor of Heaven Wing Pavilion. I want blood Kylin leather armor, Jian Wushuang said. Wait a moment. A purple-haired elder behind the counter nodded. Soon he brought a blood-colored but thin armor to Jian Wushuang. Blood Kylin leather armor, 8 million raw gems. The purple-haired elder said. I don't have that many raw gems, may I pay for it with other treasures? Asked Jian Wushuang. Okay. The purple-haired elder nodded. Heaven Wing Pavilion purchases all treasures at 90% of their selling price. Jian Wushuang raised his eyebrows. Not caring too much, he was going to take out some to buy the blood Kylin leather armor. Right at the moment. Wait. A voice echoed. Jian Wushuang turned and saw a red-haired man bearing a saber on his back walking towards him. It's him. Jian Wushuang recognized that it was Jin Ling, the other second-grade divine general from this assessment. Jin Ling stepped forward and said to the purple-haired elder at the counter, I'll take it. Then he took out an interspatial ring. Jian Wushuang's face fell. The purple-haired elder at the counter frowned and said, Lord, I'm sorry but the blood Kylin leather armor has already been bought by this divine general. I know. I just want to buy it and give it to him. Jin Ling said with a smile and kindly looked at Jian Wushuang. Give it to me. Jian Wushuang felt awkward. They didn't know each other well. It was just that both of them had passed the test and become second-grade divine generals. Why did Jin Ling want to give the blood Kylin leather armor to him as a gift? 8 million raw gems, only a few of the second-grade divine generals on the monster continent could afford this. Jin Ling, why? Jian Wushuang asked. Just to make friends. Jin Ling said. Oh. Jian Wushuang didn't believe this. Was he really so generous as to give him a blood Kylin leather armor worth 8 million raw gems as a friendship gift? After paying, Jin Ling passed it to Jian Wushuang. Thanks. Jian Wushuang thanked him and took it. Qinghua, let's go, Jian Wushuang said. Then they walked out of the Heaven Wing Pavilion. Wait, Jin Ling shouted. Jian Wushuang stopped and looked back to Jin Ling. Jin Ling, anything else? Jin Ling's mouth curled up. Why did he give it to him if he had no request? There is one thing. Brother Wushuang, I know Emperor Fengxiao gave you a jade slip. Jin Ling said with a smile and called him brother. Yes. Jian Wushuang nodded. The thing is, the jade slip Emperor Fengxiao gave you is important to me. Therefore, I hope you can sell it to me. I promise to give you a good price. Jin Ling said earnestly. Buy the jade slip from me? Jian Wushuang looked at Jin Ling with an interesting smile. Chapter 519, Falling Out with Jian Wushuang. Chapter 519, Falling Out with Jian Wushuang. He really came for the jade slip. Jian Wushuang sneered secretly. He had guessed that this was what Jin Ling had come for secretly. It's an honor that Emperor Fengxiao gave the jade slip to me. How can I let him down by selling it? Jian Wushuang said. That's not true. Jin Ling said, to keep his kindness in mind is more important than the jade slip itself. After a pause, Jin Ling continued saying, Brother Wushuang, the jade slip is useless to you but useful to me. I hope you can do me a favor. He said this with sincerity. He thought that Jian Wushuang did not know the jade slip's value. Because he had learnt in the Saint Castle that Jian Wushuang had come from an ordinary tribe and that there was nothing special about his background. He had also never been to the holy place before. It was highly possible that he knew nothing about the jade slip. Therefore, it was possible for him to trick Jian Wushuang out of the jade slip as long as Jian Wushuang did not know its value. Jin Ling was right. Jian Wushuang really knew nothing about the jade slip. He didn't even have the chance to ask Qinghua. However, there was one thing that Jin Ling didn't expect. Jian Wushuang was not stupid. He was not an ignorant bumpkin who was naive and unaware of things. Step by step, he had experienced many crises and troubles. How could he be foolish like Jin Ling? He must be kidding himself in expecting to get the jade slip from Jian Wushuang with just a few words. Jian Wushuang threw an interspatial ring at Jin Ling and said coldly, the treasures in the interspatial ring are worth 8 million raw gems. This should cover the cost of the blood Kylin leather armor. Stop trying to get the jade slip. Brother Wu Shuang. Jin Ling was anxious. Qinghua, let's go. Jian Wushuang did not spare a second glance for Jin Ling and walked off with Qinghua outside the Heaven Wing Pavilion. Gazing at Jian Wushuang's back, Jin Ling's hopeful, nervous and anxious eyes became cold with rising hatred and killing intent. Finally, as Jian Wushuang stepped out of the gate, Jin Ling's hatred exploded. Stop. Swish. Jin Ling rushed out like a flowing light. Right after Jian Wushuang and Qinghua stepped out of the Heaven Wing Pavilion and moved onto the street, they heard a sharp crackling sound from behind, then a distorted figure passed by and stopped in front of them. Seeing Jin Ling, who stood in front of him with a distorted face, Jian Wushuang frowned. Is he so easy to irritate? Jian Wushuang sneered and said, Jin Ling, what do you want? What do I want? Jin Ling stared at Jian Wushuang like a poisonous snake. Jian Wushuang, you better sell it to me. Otherwise. What? Jian Wushuang's eyes turned cold immediately. He had politely called him Brother Wushuang in the Heaven Wing Pavilion. But now, his face had changed so quickly. What? You want to force us? Qinghua sneered at Jin Ling too. Though he didn't know what Emperor Fengxiao had given to Jian Wushuang, he knew what Jin Ling had done. Jin Ling didn't answer him. But his eyes were full of killing intent. Do you want to fight? Don't forget you are in Heaven Wing City. Jian Wushuang said coldly. Haha, look, someone wants to fight here. Qinghua shouted. Hearing his words, many people on the street gathered around them, so did the guards of Heaven Wing City who arrived at the first time. 3 divine generals. The guards were also under the command of the Monster Exterminating League and most of them were divine generals. Therefore they perceived the aura of their divine general tokens. Sirs, you should know the rules of Heaven Wing City. If you fight here, the leading guard frowned, gazing at the trio. Don't look at us, it's him. Qinghua pointed at Jin Ling and said coldly, we just walked out of the Heaven Wing Pavilion. This man wanted a treasure belonging to my friend and is forcing my friend to sell it to him. We refused, so he blocked our way. Oh! The guards looked towards Jin Ling. People around were all watching Jin Ling and whispering. Such bad behavior. Hehe, the Heaven Wing City is one of the 8 cities. No one is allowed to act like that. What treasure is this? Even causing a divine general to act like that. Jin Ling, while being stared at, became sullen and his eyes were cold as ice. Looking at Jian Wushuang, he said, Jian Wushuang, there is one thing you should know. My name is Jin Ling. My father is Emperor Golden Snake. Hearing that, Jian Wushuang did nothing, but Qinghua suddenly narrowed his eyes. A noise arose from the crowd. Apparently they all knew Emperor Golden Snake. The faces of those guards also changed. Jian Wushuang, you should know what I mean. Jin Ling sneered. The people around looked queer. Threats. An unscrupulous but real threat. Many looked at Jian Wushuang with pity in their eyes. Emperor Golden Snake was one of the 108 divine emperors. How could any human without a special background dare to irritate him? Compromise with him. Sell it to him. Maybe you will suffer a loss, but it's better than offending Emperor Golden Snake. He is unlucky to have troubled Emperor Golden Snake's son. I heard that Emperor Golden Snake always defends his son. People around were discussing and many advised Jian Wushuang to compromise by selling the jade slip to Jin Ling. Fellow Wushuang, Qinghua frowned and looked at Jian Wushuang, but he didn't say any more. Jian Wushuang stood in the center of the crowd with hands behind his back. Jin Ling haughtily stared at Jian Wushuang. All of them were waiting for Jian Wushuang's answer. Suddenly Jian Wushuang raised his head and asked with confusion, I'm sorry, who is Emperor Golden Snake? I don't know him. Chapter 520 Earth Core Palace Token. Chapter 520 Earth Core Palace Token. Shock. The people on the street were stupefied and stared at Jian Wushuang. They had tried to predict Jian Wushuang's reaction and could understand both his decision and arguments. Because these two reactions were basic human instincts. However, They didn't expect that Jian Wushuang would say things like that. Who was Emperor Golden Snake? Never heard of him. Emperor Golden Snake, one of the 108 divine emperors, was very famous in the human race. It was unbelievable that Jian Wushuang had never heard of him. His reaction completely offended Emperor Golden Snake. But in fact, Jian Wushuang had indeed not heard of Emperor Golden Snake. He wasn't from the monster continent and had arrived here only a few days ago. It was normal that he did not know of Emperor Golden Snake. Good, great. Jin Ling was apoplectic with fury. He grinned at Jian Wushuang, stared at him and said, Jian Wushuang, I will remember you. The world is small and I will definitely meet you one day. He turned away and then left with a snort. After witnessing this, the bystanders stared at Jian Wushuang for a while and then left. Goodness, he said he had never heard of Emperor Golden Snake. This divine general really has guts. Yes, he does. However, he has really upset Emperor Golden Snake. I heard that Emperor Golden Snake is vengeful. I'm afraid this divine general is already in trouble. People sighed, even the sergeants in the guard army looked at Jian Wushuang with pity. After that, they all left. Well, you are really in trouble now. Qinghua frowned and then looked at Jian Wushuang. My friend, you just arrived in the monster continent, so you haven't heard of the Emperor Golden Snake yet. But I know he is monstrous even among the 108 divine emperors. He is called Emperor Golden Snake because he is as malevolent as a viper. Besides, he is known as the one who always takes revenge for offenses. All the people in the Monster Exterminating League know that whoever offends Emperor Golden Snake would definitely suffer a lot. Really? Jian Wushuang smiled but didn't really care. Qinghua was shocked. He explained it so seriously, but Jian Wushuang didn't seem to care about it. However, he didn't know that Jian Wushuang wasn't worried about Emperor Golden Snake at all. He has been cultivating till now and had already upset numerous people. Thousands of people even wanted to kill him, but he was still alive and well. Like in Divine Land, he became the enemy of the world and his opponents were all at the three ancestors level. He was able to handle them, not to mention Emperor Golden Snake who had just reached the Cloud Realm. My current strength might not be able to confront a divine emperor. However, it is also not easy for him to kill me if I try my best to defend. Jian Wushuang thought secretly. He was confident with his current strength. Okay, forget about Emperor Golden Snake. Let's talk about Emperor Fengxiao. Qinghua looked at him again. Jin Ling just mentioned that you received a jade slip as a gift from the Emperor Fengxiao. What happened to it? I don't really know, Jian Wushuang said with a smile. While I was performing the assessment of divine generals, Emperor Fengxiao was nearby. When I finished, someone gave me a jade slip and said it was a gift from the Emperor Fengxiao who thought I did a good job in the assessment. Oh, really? Qinghua was surprised and said, I would like to have a look at that jade slip. Without hesitating, Jian Wushuang showed him the golden jade slip. This is. Qinghua was shocked when he saw it. Qinghua, do you know this jade slip? Jian Wushuang asked. Of course. This is the Earth Core Palace token. Besides, it is a golden one, which means that whoever has it can enter the 4th level of the Earth Core Palace. The number in this token represents the number of days that the holder can stay in the palace. Qinghua stared at the number which showed 10. 10 days, I can stay in the 4th level of the Earth Core Palace for 10 days. Pest. Qinghua could not help feeling very envious or even a bit jealous. He looked at Jian Wushuang and said, My friend, now I know why Jin Ling has been trying so hard to get this jade slip. Is this jade slip very precious? Jian Wushuang asked. Precious? More than that. Qinghua answered, My friend, I should say this token can easily make numerous divine generals in the Monster Exterminating League go crazy. Not to mention 10 days, even one day, many divine generals would fight to the death for it. This jade slip is very precious not only for the divine generals, but also for divine emperors. Like Jin Ling's father, who is called Emperor Golden Snake, although he is one of 108 divine emperors, it would take him about 10 years to get one jade slip. It takes about 10 years for Emperor Golden Snake to get one jade slip? Jian Wushuang was shocked and asked, Does it mean that this jade slip is also very important for the Emperor Fengxiao? Of course. Qinghua nodded and said, although the Emperor Fengxiao is a superior emperor and his strength is much stronger than the Emperor Golden Snake's, it's still not that easy for him to get one jade slip. To my great surprise, he gave it to you. It is like a meat pie falling from the sky. Jian Wushuang looked solemn. He was also confused why Emperor Fengxiao gave such a precious thing to him. However, Jian Wushuang didn't know that his sword skill had helped Emperor Fengxiao comprehend a sword movement which had bothered him for a long time. So compared to the jade slip, this sword movement was much more important. In Emperor Fengxiao's mind, even if he could get another 3 or 4 jade slips, he might still be unable to comprehend the sword movement. That was why the Emperor Fengxiao gave the jade slip to Jian Wushuang as a gift, since he was happy to understand the sword movement. Qinghua, just now you mentioned that the jade slip was related to the Earth Core Palace, so what is that? Jian Wushuang asked. Earth Core Palace is the biggest opportunity in the holy place. No point for you to ask more details because we are going to the holy place now, and later you can figure it out for yourself. You will realize the value of this jade slip, Qinghua answered. Great, then let's go to the holy place. Jian Wushuang smiled with high expectations. Chapter 521, Holy Place and Earth Core Palace. Chapter 521, Holy Place and Earth Core Palace. The Holy Place, the camp of humanity in the monster continent, was located in a vast plain. It was the real center of the Monster Exterminating League, and numerous experts were assembled here. Also, in the Holy Place, there were lots of cultivation resources which were not only helpful for divine generals but also for divine emperors. Among the humans in the monster continent, only those above divine general are qualified to enter the Holy Place. As for the ordinary ones in the Cloud Realm, they don't have the qualification. While wandering in the Holy Place, Qinghua explained this to Jian Wushuang. Jian Wushuang looked around and noticed almost everyone nearby were divine generals. Even the guards who were in charge of guarding the Holy Place were all experts at the divine general level. In front of the Holy Place, there was a towering mountain. On the mountain, there were thousands of palaces and pavilions. There are numerous advanced experts of the Monster Exterminating League living in these palaces. Whoever is able to have a palace in the Holy Place, even at the foot of the mountain, is already a top divine general. Not to mention those who live on the mountainside, it is said that they are divine emperors, Qinghua said. Oh! Jian Wushuang raised his eyebrows. My friend Wushuang, look at that, Qinghua pointed ahead. Jian Wushuang's sight followed Qinghua's finger. Soon he saw a huge pagoda which was made by black sand rising into view. With his unique eyesight, Jian Wushuang was able to observe that the pagoda was formed by sand. It was very weird that the black sand was still slowly flowing. But the pagoda was totally stable. That is the Monster Exterminating Pagoda, the treasure vault of the Monster Exterminating League. Qinghua pointed to the ancient black sand pagoda and said, inside it, you can find cultivation methods, manuals, body reshaping techniques, elixirs, magic weapons, and so on. It has everything you could wish for. Like the last few levels of the bone fusion technique, you also can get it from the Monster Exterminating Pagoda, but of course you need to earn it. Jian Wushuang nodded slightly. There was no such thing as a free lunch. It was a rule that you had to earn whatever you wanted. Qinghua, what about the Earth Core Palace? Jian Wushuang asked. Before, Qinghua mentioned that the Earth Core Palace was the biggest opportunity in the holy place, so he was very curious and expectant about it. Don't worry, we are almost there, Qinghua said. Soon, Qinghua took Jian Wushuang to the center of the holy place. It was an open space and there was a huge altar on it. In the center of the altar, there was a channel which connected underground. Beside this, many guards were standing guard. At the bottom of the altar is the Earth Core Palace, Qinghua said, and then he walked towards the channel with Jian Wushuang. However, as soon as Jian Wushuang stepped on the altar, he noticed the peculiarity of the void. The origin energy here seems to be more powerful than at any other place. Jian Wushuang raised his brows. Have you already noticed? Qinghua looked at Jian Wushuang with a smile and said, it's just outside the Earth Core Palace. When you are inside it, you will realize the value of the Earth Core Palace. With a hint of expectation, Jian Wushuang arrived at the front of the channel to the Earth Core Palace. The guards outside the channel looked at Jian Wushuang and Qing Hua, and then they let them enter. Following the channel, Jian Wushuang and Qing Hua arrived at the first level of the Earth Core Palace. It was a huge underground palace. Inside, there were many secret chambers where numerous divine generals were cultivating and meditating. When Jian Wushuang got to the first level, he immediately noticed the origin energy becoming much more powerful. Just now, when he was outside the Earth Core Palace and near the altar, he had already noticed that the origin energy was a little bit stronger. But now, when they were on the first level, the origin energy was at least twice as strong as outside. It was certainly better to cultivate and meditate here since it was full of origin energy. Is this the magic of the Earth Core Palace? Jian Wushuang was a bit surprised. At this moment, Qing Hua finally started to explain, the Earth Core Palace is the biggest opportunity and treasure of the holy place. Its origin energy is much stronger than outside because the supreme relic of humanity is at the bottom of the Earth Core Palace. Relic? Jian Wushuang was intrigued. The supreme relic of humanity in the monster continent. I also don't know what the relic is, but I know that the main reason that our human group, who has been threatened by the demonic beasts, are able to occupy this area is because of this relic. If we did not have it, we would already be wiped out by the demonic beasts, Qing Hua said. Jian Wushuang was shocked. If it was as Qing Hua said, then this relic was very important for humanity in the monster continent. Absolutely, it was the root of humanity and a treasure which could decide humanity's survival or extinction. The Earth Core Palace has this magic because of the relic, Qing Hua said. There are 5 levels in the Earth Core Palace. The lower the level is, the stronger the origin energy is. We are just on the first level, but the origin energy is already 2 times stronger than outside. If you get into the second level, the origin energy will be 10 times stronger, and so on. The origin energy on the third, fourth level will be even stronger. Knowing this, Jian Wushuang stared open-eyed. The origin energy on the second level was 10 times stronger than the outside. Remember, the stronger the origin energy was, the easier one could meditate on the origin. 10 times stronger, what did this mean? Besides, it was only the second level. No wonder the Earth Core Palace is said to be the biggest opportunity in the holy place. It is much easier and faster to cultivate and meditate on origin here than outside, Jian Wushuang said. Yes, that's true, Qing Hua nodded, but not everyone is able to cultivate here. A divine general of the Monster Exterminating League is able to get into and cultivate on the first level. However, talking about the second level, it requires certain qualification. What qualification? Jian Wushuang asked. Kill demonic beasts and obtain demonic beast monster cores, Qing Hua solemnly said. Chapter 522, the fourth level. Chapter 522, the fourth level. Humans and demonic beasts are sworn enemies. The reason why we have the Monster Exterminating League is so that we can contend against them. Whoever wants to cultivate on the second level of the Earth Core Palace needs to make contributions. Killing demonic beasts and obtaining monster cores are an essential contribution. Any person who wants to stay on the second level of the Earth Core Palace for one day needs to obtain 1 monster core of a rank 6 demonic beast, Qing Hua answered. Jian Wushuang's pupil slightly shrank. He could understand the requirements for entering Earth Core Palace based on killing the demonic beasts and obtaining monster cores. However, requiring a monster core of a rank 6 demonic beast to enter and stay on the second level for only one day sounded a bit too exaggerated. A rank 6 demonic beast was on par with a 6-cloud realm expert, superior lord. This meant that for a divine general in the Monster Exterminating League to stay on the second level for one day, he needed to kill 1 demonic beast which possessed a 6-cloud realm's battle strength. Actually, the Earth Core Palace is not the only place that requires monster cores. Several places in the holy place, including the Monster Exterminating Pagoda, also have the same requirement. There are hundreds of treasure in the Monster Exterminating Pagoda that we can't buy with raw gems but only with monster cores from demonic beast. Qing Hua continued. Although the requirement to enter into the second level of the Earth Core Palace is a bit too strict, divine generals in the Monster Exterminating League would still like to cultivate there for a while. As for the third level, its origin energy is much more powerful, so it requires more. Usually, only divine emperors are able to cultivate on the third level, but they also can't stay there for a long time. As for the fourth level, it requires even more than the previous levels. There are 108 divine emperors in the Monster Exterminating League. Every few years, these divine emperors usually cultivate at the fourth level for a couple days. If any of them wants to stay there for 10 days, it will take them a few years or even about 10 years to kill enough demonic beasts. Hearing that, Zhen Wushuang felt a bit overwhelmed. Even divine emperors can only cultivate on the fourth level for a couple of days every few years. Then what about the golden jade slip in his hand? My friend Wushuang, the token that the Emperor Fengxiao gave to you is permission to enter the fourth level of the Earth Core Palace. It allows you to stay there for 10 days. 10 days. Qinghua looked at Zhen Wushuang with an envious sigh. What I can say is you are too lucky. Zhen Wushuang couldn't help laughing. Although he knew that the jade slip was very precious, he didn't know how valuable it was. But now, he finally understood. Emperor Fengxiao indeed gave me a good gift, Zhen Wushuang thought with delight. Soon Qinghua and Zhen Wushuang arrived at the entry to the second level. My friend Wushuang, I will be waiting for you here. 10 days are not that long, you need to take full advantage of it, Qinghua said. Of course, Zhen Wushuang nodded with a smile and then entered into the entryway. The guards who were guarding there stopped him at the beginning, but when Zhen Wushuang showed the jade slip to them, the guards looked surprised and allowed him to enter. Obviously, they were all surprised that Zhen Wushuang had this jade slip. Followed the path, Zhen Wushuang continuously advanced to the bottom of the Earth Core Palace and soon he arrived at the fourth level. As soon as he stepped onto the fourth level, he immediately sensed the powerful origin energy around him. Zhen Wushuang had been cultivating till now, but he hadn't sensed such powerful origin energy. So powerful. The origin energy here is at least 100 times stronger than outside, maybe even more than that. Zhen Wushuang was deeply shocked. It was a real cultivation sanctuary which was full of powerful origin energy. The fourth level was not as big as the first level, but there were still numerous secret chambers. Zhen Wushuang randomly picked one and entered. Hunkering down in the secret chamber, Zhen Wushuang closed his eyes and started to meditate. It was much faster and easier for him to comprehend origin inside the chamber than outside. He had been meditating on 999 slaughter techniques of the first level restriction of 6-story pagoda, but until now he could only comprehend about 600, and there were still another 300 slaughter techniques that he couldn't understand. But now, while he was meditating, he soon found out that he was able to overcome the difficulties which had bothered him before. It seemed he could work them out easily and simply. This feeling is really amazing. Zhen Wushuang opened his eyes, they sparkled with surprise and joy. In only a couple minutes, he already comprehended 10 techniques of the first level restriction. It would take him a few days or at least 10 days to achieve this if he was outside. I only have 10 days but it is really a precious chance, so I can't waste a second. He took a deep breath and moved his mind, soon the slaughter doppelganger popped up beside him. The original body and the slaughter doppelganger were both inside the secret chamber to help him meditate. As time flew by, Zhen Wushuang sped up comprehending world origin and slaughter origin. In a flash, 10 days passed. In the secret chamber, Zhen Wushuang's original body and his slaughter doppelganger were still sitting with legs crossed. At this moment, there was a new origin mark slowly condensing on his original body's arm. With the addition of the previous origin marks, there were already 8 world origin marks on it. Right, 8 marks. Lately, Zhen Wushuang just had condensed the 6th world origin mark in the Wu Yang tribe. However, when he got to the 4th level of the Earth Core Palace, he only spent 10 days condensing the 7th and 8th world origin mark. Moreover, this was only the improvement of the world origin. It was really incredible. On the other side, Zhen Wushuang's slaughter doppelganger was also sitting and 8 slaughter origin marks showed on his arm. The slaughter origin condensed the 8th origin mark as well. World Origin, Slaughter Origin, both got 8 marks. Jian Wushuang's eyes shone with delight. Origin mark represented the comprehension of the origin. Since he still didn't break through the cloud realm, the brows of his origin mark metamorphosized the cloud and the power was still limited. But for Jian Wushuang, the usage of these 2 origins would be improved dramatically. His overall strength already had experienced a huge improvement. In the Saint realm, condensing the 8th origin mark is already incredible. Not sure if I will still have the chance to get the 9th mark? Jian Wushuang thought. You're tuning in to the Celestial War YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.